Stoomboy, the Combat Companion. So, as always, shows are brought to you by Hard Life Fightwear. So, Hard Life Fightwear offer a range of products, whether it be gi, no gi, anything for whether it be jiu-jitsu, grappling, or even MMA. So, boxing, all that kind of stuff as well. So, anybody looking for some good stuff, hit up hardlifefightwear.co.uk and use the discount code STOOM15 and you will get a little bit of a discount from there. They do some unbelievable custom stuff as well, so definitely check them out if you can. So we're going to be joined by obviously a couple of guests. My two favourite Englishmen.
He is not English at all.
That was a real shaky thing to start with, bro. You know what I mean?
So we've got Chris Duncan-Smith and Andy Baker. So obviously representing Xion Gym in Andover. So obviously Chris has been in the game for a long time. He's been around a while. So obviously he's got an amazing setup down there. Obviously Andy is a black belt under Chris. So it's strange to say that, Andy, a black belt. Andy Baker.
I tell you what, mate. See when we were doing all those fucking up and down the roads at Blue Belt, fucking smashing comps, the British, the Masters, all these different fucking things. To be a blue belt then and look back and be a black belt now, it's still mad. It's still mad. It's fucking. I'm grateful, genuinely grateful, because I'm under a great guy. I mean, you'll hear him, right? He's fucking bonkers, but he's a great guy, and he's been a great coach for me. Genuinely, it's been 6 years, but it's been brilliant all the way. I'll tell you some stories later after the camera.
You can tell him on here, it don't matter.
Well, I was going to say, the thing with you, Andy, I mean, what you do is, do you know what I mean? Obviously, you're on the mats all the time. You're representing on the mats, but outside the gym as well. I mean, you're always representing jiu-jitsu outside the gym. Do you know what I mean? You're talking about it with people. Do you know what I mean? So when they give out black belts, I know there's a load of different reasons they give out black belts, but one of the things about how you promote jiu-jitsu as well, are you a suitable fit to get a black belt? Do you know what I mean? Because there's many brown belts out there that are assholes that don't get black belts. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you're not that bad of an asshole, Andy.
Well, 90% of the time. I generally think the actual black belt is just the next step. My whole ethos has always been the team that I'm with. The guys that gave me time. And that goes from Chris to Dan, to Joe, all the boys at Zion, to Joke and Marcos back in the day. I mean, every time I'm in Scotland, I go and roll with Joke because I love the guy, and I'm grateful for all those guys gave me. But it's about promoting it. Remember when you walk into a gym as a white belt, you need somebody there to be friendly because it's fucking hard work when you walk into a fight gym. You look at all these people, and it's genuinely you need to be that type of person. You need to. It's not like you actually earn it. You fit it and you don't. And it's just. And I spoke to Chris Thompson about it a couple of weeks ago actually, and he was like, "How do you feel being a black belt?" And I'm like, "I didn't date for the black belt. The black belt's the bonus a training because my training hasn't changed one iota since then. I still train exactly the same every week. I've got a different colour in my belt, with my waist. That's it. Really, but it's been fucking brilliant. It's very cool. You know what I mean? I never thought I'd make it, so it's a win.
Listen, you're definitely a great representative for jiu-jitsu. Do you know what I mean? Not just Xion Gym, but jiu-jitsu in general. Do you know what I mean? You're one of the guys that's out there, and we're not talking about recently. We're talking about ever since you started as a white belt. I mean, you go back, you always laugh when you go back to people's Facebook from when they first started jiu-jitsu. Because pre-jiu-jitsu, we were talking about football and bevying and going out doing this. Whereas you always know when somebody started jiu-jitsu because suddenly you then see the jiu-jitsu pictures and posts about jiu-jitsu. And yours is exactly the same. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly the same. Yep. I posted a picture of me getting my blue belt 8 years ago with Sean Rowan. Now he's fat and bald like me. And he's 10 years younger. You know what I mean? Because he gave up, he's still a fucking blue belt.
But you're definitely a great representative. Do you know what I mean?
Thank you, bro.
It's an honour to have you in the sport, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's definitely an honour. So, Chris, now that we've talked a wee bit about Andy, right? So, tell us about you, Chris. Obviously, black belt, Xion Gym. Do you know what I mean? Tell us about your journey.
I started late. I started at age 30, right, and I'm just coming up to 50 now. So I've been going 19 and a bit years. Obviously, like everyone else, it was the original UFC with Hoist Gracie, which would have been 1990.
What? Wasn't it?
Yeah,
94,
yeah, 94. Where was I in 1994? I was patrolling the streets of Northern Ireland in 1994. So that's the first time I saw jiu-jitsu. And then my first real contact wouldn't have been until sometime later. And it was actually quite bizarre because I was working security for a Italian man and his French Egyptian business partner. They owned a couple of bars, couple of restaurants, that type of thing, in and around the south of England, and I was providing them with security. One of the restaurants was right down the road from a flat, so I used to get up in the morning and walk down, and I'd sit outside in the car park if it was sunny, and have a chat with Claudio, who was the French Egyptian. And then one morning I'm sat there, and two of his restaurant staff, both Brazilian nationals, come running around the corner, and they pretty much proceeded to go at it on the tarmac. Right, and I'm sat there and I'm looking at them, thinking something wrong with these boys. They're not wired right. And then I'm looking at him, thinking, where have you got them from? Right. And then so that's where it pretty much started for me. One of them, so I'll name both of them. One of them's a UK black belt, a very well-known UK black belt called Alex D'Souza.
Yes.
Runs D'Souza Dojo. I believe he's under Vitor Shaolin.
Awesome guy, he's really nice guy as well.
And the other one, we used to call him Red Bull because that's all he would drink was tins of Red Bull. Was Alex Riviera. Alex Riviera is now back in Brazil. Every now and then I get a random WhatsApp message telling me he's going to come and kick the shit into me to test my black belt. I'm still waiting for him to get over it. I'm not paying for his ticket. He has to pay for himself. So I started, I got into trouble one night on one of the doors, and we threw a lad out who happened to be part of a Portsmouth-based football hooligan firm. He didn't like what happened to him, and then a couple of weeks later, they managed to get, I don't know how many of them, into the pub. It was during the World Cup, actually, and they kicked off. They started fighting amongst themselves. I had me and four other doormen on. We intervened, and they turned on us. Thankfully, the Alex Riviera was stood at the side of the bar, right? Because we were struggling. We were going to get a hiding, and yeah, I've never seen anything like that in real life, right? And yeah, he stopped me from getting a kick in. From that moment on, I'd finish of a night time, and he used to follow me to my car. But rather than walking by my side, he'd walk behind me like a stalker or something. In the end, I'm like, that old Red Bull, what you doing? Because it's weird. You're weirding me out, right? Like, Chris, you get in so much trouble, you upset everyone. I'm like, that's what I get paid for, right? Is to upset people. No means no. Right. So anyway, like we started chatting. I asked him what it was all about. He explained, like it was their version of Muay Thai, like combined with wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like he'd never really trained for the sake of Jiu-Jitsu competition. It was for MMA. He was an avid competitor back in the day. Cage Warriors, Cage Rage, FX3, and then and no weight limit fights, right? And he was only a 70-kilo bloke. So I asked him, like, will you teach? And he said yes. So I used to rent out mat space in a gym just down the road from where I am now in Andover. I used to go in Winchester, pick him up, bring him over on a Tuesday and a Thursday. We used to do striking into wrestling on a Tuesday for 2 hours, and then on a Thursday, striking on the ground, striking with jiu-jitsu on the ground. Right?
Yeah.
So it was very, very rudimental. The training was barbaric. Like the club never grew. There was probably 6 of us at the most. People would come in and just stand there and watch, and then they'd walk out like horrified.
That's an old school Brazilian way, though, isn't it?
Yeah, like you've got. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. We had rules like there'd be no elbows whilst on the floor, like, and no hammer fists and things like that, because we've all got to go to work the next day. So there were certain rules, like, but yeah, we were beating the crap out of one another. Like, so the club never grew. In the end, Alex ended up going back to Brazil, right? And then I think I stopped training for probably 6 months, but that was more down to work. I got overly busy doing security, and then I had to change job, which freed up my night times to a degree, as in like between 5 o'clock and 9:30, Monday to Friday, I could do what I wanted. So I went and found a club. He was actually one of the doormen working for the company I was an area manager for at the time. He was a blue belt. His name was Pat. He's a Gracie Barra black belt now, and I think he owns or his partners in Gracie Barra Swindon. Anyway, I phoned him up and said, "Listen, Pat, I'm going to come down and train." I'd never put on the gi, right? So I borrowed one off of someone. I think it was a judo gi I borrowed. He told me not to come down. It was a comp class, a 2-hour-long comp class. I went down there. Obviously, there's no striking or anything. It was just straight Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And I ended up sparring with obviously over the age of 18, but I refer to him as a kid because he was built. He's smaller than my 14-year-old son. And I couldn't do anything with him. And at the time, I mean, I'm 100 kilo now. At the time, I'd have probably been about 110 kilos. Right, and not fat, like it was muscle. I couldn't do anything with him. I couldn't hold him down when I was on top of him, and then when he was on top of me, I couldn't get him off. Don't get me wrong, I could stand up with him still on me, but it was like trying to pull bubble gum out of an afro or something, like absolute craziness. I drove home that night. I was supposed to do my audits to the clubs that I was looking after in Swindon. I didn't. I got straight in my car, drove home, walked straight through the door, asked the wife for some Epsom salts, got in the bath, and contemplated my manhood. I mean, getting beaten up by a Brazilian that's done this most of his life is one thing, but being beaten up by a kid that's got a white belt with 2 or 3 stripes on it. Like, I thought I could handle myself, right? I thought, like, and it's just, like whatever it is, I need to learn it. So I kept going back. In the end, I said to Pat, 2 times a week's not enough. Where is there? He pointed me to a club, a Gracie Barra again. This time it was a purple belt under Victor Estema down in Southampton. The club was called Silverback Submissions. So I went down there and I started training. I would do 3 hours a night. So I do a gi. They did gi, no gi, no gi, gi, and it staggered like that Monday to Friday. I would do double classes all the way through the week, right, and then go to work straight after. And I stayed there up until the point of the purple belt. Adam went crazy, forgot to pay the bills. But most of us had a key to get in. So we carried on training ourselves probably 4 months, maybe longer, until the bailiffs turned up and said, "Listen, you need to all get out." like they asked for the owner. Yeah, he's not here. Like, and then we all got kicked out. But yeah, and as a white belt, blue belt type team, Silverbacks was a solid team back in the day. Like, we used to turn up, represent, and win. Like, it had some good scrappers in there. I'm not saying it was the best technical jiu-jitsu. I'm saying the boys had love for it and they would scrap. when that stopped, a couple of us went up to Phoenix MMA in Bournemouth.
Yeah. No,
And that's how then Phoenix moved to Southampton. There was like 50 students with nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Right. So I believe Jimmy Johnson was a purple belt at the time. So we started training there a couple of times a week. Then that went full time. Right. I met Roberto while Silverbacks was still going. He'd been brought down from Nova Forza in London, where he was working alongside Ricardo, and Jeremy Bailey brought into Bailey's gym in Basingstoke, and Roberto was teaching out of there. Originally, it was just one Saturday a week, and then that increased to a couple of times in the week and a Saturday. So I was training between there and Phoenix, pretty much. Grading's all being done through Jimmy and his lineage at the time. So I stayed with Phoenix to the point of brown belt 4-stripe, and then I had a business opportunity which didn't work out, and I pulled away from the brand. I then was on my own for 6-7 months, and then I phoned up Roberto and said, "Is there any chance I can come down for a chat?" He gave me a time and a place. I rocked up at the Bodequai where he was teaching at the time. We had a conversation, and like it was put to me like, why do you need to go to another team? Why would you just stay with Roberto? Like he's been there pretty much for the last. I mean, at that point, it would have been what, 12 years, 10 years. Right. So I've trained with him on and off for the last 16 years now. And the last 6 years, it's been full time. Like Roberto's been my lineage.
Yeah.
I've learned some good jiu-jitsu along the way. I jiu-jitsu wise, I haven't had a bad professor. I haven't had a bad coach. Like Adam Fieldhouse, for all his misgivings, and we've all got them. As a purple belt teaching back then, he did an amazing job with us as white belts. Like good close guard, good passing close guard, good armbar, good triangle from top and bottom. Your standard Americanos. It was good, solid, basic jiu-jitsu that he gave. Jimmy again, like his jiu-jitsu was solid, right? So yeah, but none of them are Roberto, right?
None of them.
No.
Right. There's levels. Man's a 2-time Brasileiro, however many time judo world champion. It's crazy. Like he's halfway through his 50s. The man can do flips, good, jump off a penny and land on a penny. Like I couldn't do that when I was 13, 14, 15, let alone later in life. There's levels, right? There is levels, definitely.
Yeah. Same in Scotland. I mean, obviously we had at the time when Marcus Nardini came over, there was no. I think the only other black belt was Rick Young, right?
Yeah.
So obviously the legend is Rick Young. So, but Rick Young obviously had like Edinburgh and that kind of area. Whereas when Marcos came over, moved over to the west side of Scotland, and at the time the highest belt in the west side of Scotland was a blue belt.
Yeah.
So obviously here we go. We had this black belt came in, not just a black belt, but a Brazilian black belt, which is very, very different from a Scottish black belt, an English black belt, or wherever. Here we go. We've got the actual guy from Brazil that's going to teach us Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So when he came over, he didn't really get the reaction. Andy will tell you this as well. He didn't get the reaction that you would expect, right? Because obviously he came over, he started doing some classes, and he was getting told, "Oh, go and do your own thing, set up your own thing. We've got our thing here." So he didn't really get the reaction that you would expect. Because, I mean, back in the day, back in like 20 years ago, you had to travel to go and train with a blue belt. Right. You had to travel to train with a purple belt. And if you seen a purple belt, you were very, very lucky to see a purple belt. But to see a black belt was fucking almost unheard of 20 years
People
ago.
were people were paying like crazy money for privates with purple belts back then. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Nowadays, I mean, in our gym alone, we've got 5, 6 black belts training together all the time. Whereas back in those days, I remember everybody being so huge with Marcos, because we had like Marcos made a joke and stuff below that. But they were like gods. They could go anywhere in Scotland. They could train anywhere in Scotland. But the continuation of jiu-jitsu now, man, we are fucking. The difference is as well videos. I mean, you could probably, once you've got the basic fundamentals, you could probably teach yourself most of it on YouTube. You know what I mean? We never had any of that.
Yeah, back in the day, it was a VHS video. Do you know what I mean? So you had to watch like UFC, the very first UFC. Everybody in the UK watched it on video. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Buying Combat magazine.
yeah. So like back in the day, back 20 plus years ago, because I think what was it? Like it was 98. I think it was 97, 98 when jiu-jitsu really kind of started in the UK. I'm sure it was about 97, 98. So and then obviously you had the Dirty Dozen, obviously these guys that came through, obviously like the first black belts in the UK, and then since then, that's why I always talk to the young team, like especially guys in our gym and wherever I go, and I tell them the same thing. I mean, you guys have got no idea how lucky you are. Do you know what I mean? Because back when I started 2014, at that time in Scotland, there was maybe, well, you had Marcus Nardini, you had Ricky Gillen, you had Rick Young. I think you didn't have that many. Yeah, see, even at that, I don't even think
Paul McVeigh,
yeah,
that'd be bad though.
I can't even remember.
But I don't even know if Paul McVeigh was a black belt then.
So when I think they might have been him and Gary Christie, maybe Alan Love and all that. But there was maybe a half a dozen black belts when I first started in the whole of Scotland, and now I don't even know. I can't even count how many we've got now. I reckon maybe 80 to 100 black belts in Scotland, which for a small country, 5-6 million people, is fucking phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely phenomenal. So, and that just shows, I mean, the progression now. And I always tell the young team as well, like, don't forget who paved the way for you to be able to do what you're doing. Because a lot of them forget, a lot of them, like, they would always say to me, "Oh, Stoom, what have you done?" And I'm like, "Well, I've done shit back in the day, right? I don't do shit now. I'm 47-year-old, right? So I don't need to prove myself now, right? I've done all my proving back in the day, so I don't need to prove myself now. Do you know what I mean? I'm not here to match you as a 20-year-old. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm never going to match you as a 20-year-old. But don't forget who paved the way. Like guys in Scotland, there's so many people.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. I did the Army Championship just after Christmas, right? I dropped from 85 to just under 80, right? I was meant to fight this guy 82 kilos, same sort of age group. Because obviously the Army Champs is veterans, emergency services and serving soldiers, right? So I walked in there at fucking 47-year-old, and I ended up getting shifted up a weight to 88 kilos for this scout lad who fucking smashed me. Like I was like, you know what I mean? I'm not even going to argue. Twice is what I had to fight the guy twice. And I was like, sometimes it just doesn't work out, mate. I'm not going to be competitive for you. I can give you a good role, but there's no way I'm going to be as competitive as you. You're 25 years younger than me. You've got a head start already, right? You got to hold your hands up sometimes, man.
But it's true. I mean, I'll do it. I'm guilty of it. Whereas I'll go in, and now I take things whenever I do things now, like whether it be a sub only or even like that MMA fight. It was like, do you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it because.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, play. You put yourself out there, mate.
Yeah. It's not because I'm like. Don't get me wrong. Like the MMA fight I trained for, and I done it, and then they were trying to sort out an opponent for me, and then a guy messaged me and said the opponent I've got, he's 23-year-old, and I'm like, fuck it, why not? Let's do it. But then obviously, like people were talking to me, like James Doolan and all that, messaging me saying, Stoom,
probably
the guy's 23-year-old. Like he's 23-year-old. He's going to be quicker than you. He's going to be And I'm like, yeah, but it's all right. Do you know what I mean? It's all right. And I didn't care who the opponent was. And I do that with grappling matches. I'm like, I'm not in it to win. I'm not going to be a world champion. Like I might be a Masters world champion, but I'm not going to be an adult world champion or a fucking UFC champion. Do you know what I mean? So my whole point now is, and it has been for years. And Andy, you can agree with this, but it's just to go out and have fun.
Yeah.
It's a bit fun
Yeah.
now. The serious time for me competing was like 2015, 2016, around about that time when I first started. Whereas now I go out and have a laugh. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm still the same person whether I win or lose. Do you know what I mean? It's still like, oh, you're still Stoomboy. Do you know what I mean? Well done for doing what you done.
Do you know what that winner's medal is in any competition in the country unless you're ADCT trials or something like fair play to what's his name, McQueen.
Mark McQueen, yeah.
Mark McQueen.
I can't believe you forgot Mark McQueen's name, man. Oh my
Sorry, Mark. Sorry, Mark.
Wait till he's at Likens when you come up to school one time. You know what I mean?
Listen, I'm avoiding rolling with him, mate. He's just going to sit on the top of me and smash my head in. There's no fucking point in me rolling with a big guy like that. You know what I mean? But all I win is a wee ego boost for you for a week. A £5 medal, and then you're back in the gym training on the Monday, right? It's great to win, but we always say Chris is a big believer in that. See, if you put the work in beforehand and you show you're putting the commitment in, then if you lose, you lose. It doesn't matter, and that's a big thing, right? It's a big thing to learn because it doesn't actually matter as long as you come back into training the next week, figure out what the fuck you did wrong. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you lose. It doesn't matter at all. Yeah. So you could have fun with competitions. That's a big thing. I tried when I do we've just sort of switched our classes about, but we're trying to mould our white belts into the sort of the rest because they start to get a wee bit scared of moving on. So we're sort of melding them in at the moment because it's important that they learn it's fun and they should be rolling with the different higher belts at the same time because if you start to keep rolling with the same people, it doesn't work. You'll never move up any quicker unless you do that. So
it becomes stagnant.
Exactly, stagnant.
It becomes stagnant, and you'll get the ones that rise to the top of the pond, and they don't want to move on.
Yeah,
they don't want to come out of the infants pool into the big pool, or they don't want to leave the shallows for the deep, right?
Yeah,
because
It's comfort. It's comfort. It's like having a good half guard.
But it's the same in every gym. I mean, you go in and you got people who have been training with the same people for fucking 5 years. Do you know what I mean? And they know each other's game inside out, and they're absolutely brilliant in the gym. But then they go to a competition and get absolutely rinsed, and then they sit and say to themselves, "Well, how the fuck did I get beat? How did I get beat? Because I'm so good in the gym.
Yeah.
How did I get beat there? Because mate, you've been training with the same people day in, day out for 5 years, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Do you know what I mean? And you've never went out that bubble. You've never went out the comfort zone. So
I think that can be a mental thing as well. Like I've had some like lads turn up and they just naturally get it mentally. They understand angle, pressure, and all this, right? And usually when that has happened, there's only ever been one or two that have been they just like, this is a shrimp, and then they can just do it, right? Like they can still move like they were a baby. Yeah. Even though they're grown adults, they've not forgot that type. Their body's not forgot how to do that movement, right? But then when it's come to competition, right? So they'll go to another gym and roll, decimate the mat. They'll go to an open mat. So we have an open mat down here run by one of Roberto's black belts called Sub Club. And you get loads of gyms from all over the south turn up to it, right? It's a massive mat. It's 2 hours long, and it's just round after round after round, right? Yeah. And he would turn up there, and he's one of those that just makes you feel like he's playing a different game. It's like if I'm shooting pool, he's playing billiards. If I'm playing billiards, he's playing snooker. Like, and he is like that. He's not in shape. He's not fit. but he gets jiu-jitsu mentally. Like, as soon as you put him, like, are we going to compete now? Like, he starts to fall apart. Like, his training, he'll train for it, but his training won't go right because he puts too much pressure on himself mentally. Like, rather than like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to do this, right? I'm going to put in a bit more work to make sure I'm as best Nick as I can be, like, and then just go and see, right? He's one of these, he puts too much pressure on himself, right? And then but when we've actually got him to the competition, Matt, like, he's cleaned up, like, boom, straight through people, and it's like, why don't you like competition? like he's got the ability to be one of them, right? Like to be one of the names that's out there, whether it's just nationally or you're like, he's got that ability if he wants it, right? But he doesn't want it.
Very similar to Joke Love. I mean, Joke Love.
There might be something in that first name.
Joe.
Tell me I'm wrong, Heath.
No, he's right. I'll tell you what, right? We had a seminar with Roberto last week before, and I rolled with that guy, right? You know, when we're both black belts, he's longer, he's more flexible. No, when you're playing chess, when I roll with purple belts, brown belts, I'm usually 1 or 2 steps in front. I'm usually aiming for things. I'm planning things. He's probably 4 or 5 in front of me. He's already 30 seconds in front of where I'm going, knowing where I'm going. That's the type of, and I said that to him at the time. He goes, I think it's because I'm half autistic. And I goes, he probably is. He's probably got that sort of, he's got a slight autism in his brain. I think that generally helps. He's so, naturally, you show him something, he can do it. It's just fucking frustrating. And he's one of my best mates down here, so.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Crazy how good he is.
Yeah, madness. And how quick he learned from white belt to black.
Yeah.
It's to a point where, like, there's a purple belt. If we had visiting browns and black belts, and we get them all the time, right? I get them at lunchtime, come from other gyms. Like, they come and roll, they come to train. Like, I get people travel from Bournemouth, Swindon, like Reading, like they cut that like over lunchtime, so they're traveling half an hour to an hour, like, just to come and train. And him as a purple belt was making them, like, and it's like, took me fucking decade and a half, man. Right, just to get the basics down, so I could at least survive. Like, and he's picking it up like, where's my Kool-Aid? Why does it not work like this for me? Why am I putting in treble the amount of work as you, and you're just and it's this, right? He just
gets it. 5 years from white to black. That just shows you how good that guy was. I mean, he was. I say was. I say was because he's past tense, because he's fat and ugly now. He'll be watching that, by the way. That's why I say that.
He was a purple belt. I think it was just before COVID. Down in Wales, they had an ADCC camp on, right? And he went down to that, and the reports that come back was, who the fuck is this? That was it. Like, who the fuck is that? And where has he fucking come from? That's what was coming back up the road from the brown and black belts that have gone down there, right? He went down there as a brand new purple belt. It's crazy. Absolute crazy. When you think who was down there training at that time, getting ready for ADCCs. Right. Absolutely. That's
Joke Love's the same. I mean, you look at Joke Love. Joke Love never competed at all. Never had any interest in competing. Didn't want to do it. But as a coach, as a guy in the gym, not just as a coach, but you roll with Joke in the gym, and Joke's only small. I don't know. He's smaller than me. I think he's about 5'2" or something.
He's probably about the same height as me, maybe a bit wider.
But the thing with Joke, man, is you roll with Joke Love, and Joke Love will fucking steamroll you, man. Do you know what I mean? And you'd be like, after the roll, you'd be thinking, how the fuck did that happen? Like, what actually happened there? Because I have no idea. And he would do it with guys who were bigger than him, do you know what I mean? Taller, stronger, do you know what I mean? But Joke had this way of, his deep half was awesome. Do you know what I mean? He'd get you in deep half, and then he would sweep you, and then then the next minute you were tapping out to something, do you know what I mean? And as I said, he instilled that in his training as well, where obviously his coaching ability was absolutely awesome. Do you know what I mean? Even when he's in the corner giving you instructions whenever you're at a competition, he would be giving you fantastic instructions. He hated me one night. I remember I did the SGI, and Joke's in the corner shouting, "Stoom, do this, do that," and I wasn't listening, man. I was not listening. And when I came off the mat, he's like, "What the fuck were you doing? Did you not fucking listen to me?" And I'm like, "No, mate. I was in my own world, man. I was completely in my own world."
That kind of thing's like Chris every time he comes to watch me compete. I think the only time that I've ever actually listened to him, I was in Brighton and Purple Belt, and we that big dude that I fought for the gold medal. There was a prophet, I could actually hear him at the time. And he sort of looked at me at the end of it and he gave me a wee nod. I was like, that'll do. I was actually got a wee bit of recognition back to him. You know what I mean? Most of the time I can't hear fuck all, you know what I mean?
But that was the thing. I mean, like me competing, it was like I would go in, I knew what I was doing. I didn't need anybody to shout instructions to me, because I was like, the only thing, and I do this when I'm coaching somebody as well at a comp, I'm like, see if you hear me shouting instructions, that means you're losing. Right? So, because, yeah, you've got a game plan. The only thing I'll shout at you is the time and the points. Do you know what I mean? I said, anything else, I will not give you instruction, because I don't need to tell you what you need to do. But if I am shouting instructions, you're losing, and you better move your ass. Do you know what I mean? So
exactly that.
Yeah, that's the way I was when I came up as well. The coach at the time, this is what he used to say to me: if I'm shouting instructions to you, you're losing. Do you know what I mean? So, and Marcos, remember Marcos at the Euros? Stu, there's only 30 seconds left. Don't do anything stupid. And then 30 seconds later, I'm walking with my head down towards Marcos.
I remember watching that live and him shaking his head at you. I watched it. I remember.
Mate. It was, I was up. So it was me and this guy. The guy was a Sambo world champion. So, and I remember going in and being like, Sambo world champion, this is going to be tough, right? So I said, all I need to do is stay on my feet. Right, don't go to the ground. Stay on my feet, and then do maybe some kind of reversal to take them down. And so obviously, as it was going on, the guy was trying to take me down. He couldn't get me down, but I was pushing the pace. So I was pushing it. And do you know what I mean? There was a couple of times where it was like I nearly took him down, and then, as I said, we had about 30 seconds left, and again, Marcos is shouting, "Stu, don't do anything stupid," and the guy pulled guard. Right, so and I was like he's pulled guard, and he dropped his leg down to the ground, which then made me look and say, "Well, hold on a minute, I can pass this guard very easily." He's dropped his leg, but then as soon as I went to pass the guard, the guy got an underhook, and as soon as he got that underhook, I was like, "Yeah, this is bad, man." And then the next minute, he barely suplexed me. Do you know what I mean?
He literally just went.
Oh, yeah, and that was the thing. Do you know what I mean? His obviously Sambo wrestling. Do you know what I mean? As soon as he took me down and dropped that leg, and I remember talking to Marcos after it. Marcos saying, "Why did you not just take half guard? Because if you'd taken half guard, you had the underhook on him. You could have jumped in the half guard, got the advantage point." And I said, "Well, I seen the points. The points, and I went for glory. And it was just that walk towards him. It was like that." Disappointed. Do you know what I mean? Like dad looked like, I'm not upset, I'm just disappointed. Do you know what I mean? So again, it's because I didn't really listen. Do you know what I mean? I didn't listen, and I went for something that I shouldn't have done. But it was that jiu-jitsu IQ. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. As a blue belt, don't get me wrong, I had a bit of an IQ, but I didn't have like the IQ I've got as a purple belt. Do you know what I mean? Or somebody's got as a brown belt or a black belt and stuff like that. So.
It's different, and you get that. It's the fight IQ. The fight IQ gets better the longer you go, definitely. But you love people that talk about Chris's Naga run, the Naga camps. The darts, fall down, smash, through, game over. You smash everybody with the same thing. If you get good at that one thing, You don't need to worry about anything.
So again, like, it's explaining to people. So I'll never discourage anyone from competing, but I don't force people.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if they want to compete, I'm with you. Right. If you don't, I'm cool with that too. Right. For most people, this is a hobby. Right. They're not trying to be the next big thing. Like, and for some, it's a hobby, and they like to compete as well because they've got that in them. They've got that about them. Right. Sometimes, I mean, I've had 2 or 3 people where they love to compete, they just don't like to train.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're mad. Like, oh yeah, I've signed up for this. You've not trained in 6 months. Yeah, but I've signed up for this. Like, you're off your head.
Like, you said that, doesn't it?
You were off your head. Like, what are you doing? Like, but and the other one I see. So I had 2 lads, both from the same cat badge ish. Like, and they come in together. They were mates. Right. And one of them I used to call Shirley. It's not his name, but we'll call him Shirley. Right. And the other one is Bruno Mars. Right.
Yeah.
So Bruno Mars and Shirley. Right. So Shirley was always better in the gym at the 2. Bearing in mind, they started together, they trained together, everything religious together. Right.
Yeah.
As far as jiu-jitsu. Right. And the same weight. They're not now. Like, one of them's quit and the other one's in retirement until he fixes his back. But so Shirley on the mat in the gym was by far the better student.
Yeah.
But he could never make that. He could never translate it from training to the competition mat. Right. Whereas Bruno was not good in the gym. Did you see on that competition mat? You're like, the fuck does that come from? like, what is that about? Right. Yeah. And the other instance is Lynette, a girl called Lynette Shepherd. Right. So she's 2 years younger than me. Right. I've known her for decades. Right. And she started white belt. She made it to blue belt. And she would just enter competitions, MMA competitions, jiu-jitsu competitions. It's like, Lynette, you've not been on the mat for 4 months, mate. Like that, yeah, it don't matter. It don't matter. It don't matter. It don't matter. I've got to do it. You're like that. You're crazy. Absolutely crazy. Middle-aged woman, not training but competing. You're like,
Lynette was the Black Widow, though. She was fierce, like fierce. Yeah. She didn't like training. She was lazy training, but she was fierce, man. She had some fucking fire in her.
Yeah. And me personally, when I've been competing, all I've ever had from my corner is abuse. Right. Nothing but abuse. Right. Yeah. If you go on YouTube, I think it's 2019 ADCC Nationals. Right. And it's over 100 black belt category. Right. And I think I'm doing a good job. And all you can hear from my corner and the bloke on the bench that's supposed to be helping me out and all is nothing but abuse. Nothing but pure abuse. Like, what's that you've just done? Where did you learn that? What a load of shit that is. That's gopping. Why don't you strangle him through his ear holes? It's just nothing but abuse, right? Like,
would you expect anything else off of him, though? Because I know who you're talking about. You wouldn't expect anything less, though. Let's be honest. No. So if he'd have done a proper job, I'd have thought there was something wrong, and that's taking his temperature when I walked off the mat, right? Because he's clearly ill. So yeah.
Well, there's Donna Jackson just asking, who was your corner? So who was the corner?
Dan Hart. Shout out to Big Dan Hart.
To Big Dan.
and Tarek, actually. Shout out to Tarek Bilgic because he was there and all.
Yes.
Tarek, legend of a man.
And that has to be because they never used the camera. They never used to record them, video them at the time, right? So it was the first one. So it's the first time I'd ever competed jiu-jitsu outside of the Europeans and been videoed, right? But that, you have to do an interview at the end. If you win, they interview you. It's the worst fucking interview in ADCC history. ADCC UK history. It's the fucking worst interview ever.
Well, you got to have to look that up on YouTube.
Well, they're like that. Oh, you finished with 2 rear naked chokes. So all I can say is, yeah, I just wanted to straight foot lock them. It's like, yeah, I was not happy about the way that I won at all.
I'm definitely going to look that up.
Yeah,
it's funny how you mentioned as well about competing. It's funny you mentioned as well about competing, because again, a lot of coaches are very similar, where they won't force anybody to compete, but do you know what I mean? They'll ask the question. But me and Andy used to go competing, and it would be like, "Are you going to do this?" No, I'm not going to do it. And then the reply you got back was, "Shite bag if you don't." So then you laugh, like, fuck it, yeah. I'm signing up right now.
Honestly, hundreds of miles up and down the fucking country to go to comp to that I didn't even want to do. No gi British Masters. I didn't want to do the first Masters, although that was a great fucking tournament. Oh man, everywhere. We've been all around the fucking country, man, all around the country. But
Andy ruined my IBJJF fucking thing, man. I used to do all the IBJJF comps here in the UK. I've been over to America and all that kind of stuff, and then we said, right, we're going to go to London. We're going to do the London Open. Andy, you want to come? And he's like, do you know, I've never done an IBJJF comp. Yeah, let's go. So then Andy signs up. As soon as Andy signs up, it started snowing, right? So it started snowing, not just snowing, Chris.
Not just snowing.
This was the worst snow. Yeah, this was the worst snow the UK had ever seen. It was like record fucking snowdrops, right? So we're like, right, okay, we'd booked a flight down, right? We'd had the hotel booked, everything was ready to go, and the government then announced there's a no travel, right? Nobody could travel, so you couldn't fly, you couldn't get a train, couldn't get a bus, couldn't drive, right? And then so Andy's like, oh, fucking IBJJF. Man, Andy, it was your fault. It was your fault, Andy, because there was never a problem with IBJJF. But yeah, the government shut everything down, and then I remember the IBJJF. Yeah, we got our money back for the plane, we got our money back for the hotel, and went to the IBJJF, and IBJJF is like, no, you're in London, you can still get there. And I'm like, yeah, but not in fucking London, we're in Scotland. So, but
IBJJF got to keep my 90 quid, and that's the last money I'll ever give them, by the way.
Yeah. Ever. So that was always our kind of peer pressure was shite bag if you don't.
Oh yeah, the lads shite bagging each other, yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So I was never forced to compete. I just like to scrap, so that's why I was competing. And again, I'm not too fussed about the win or the loss. It was more about the actual scrap. Right? Maybe if I'd been a little bit more technically advanced at blue and purple belt, I'd have probably been more concerned about the wins than what I was. Like, not bothered about them. But I think it saves the person a lot of grief if you can throw that away. Like a lot of anxiety and anticipation, because that's what kills a lot of people, right? Yeah, it is like you've made weight, you've done all your training, you've made weight, and people do silly things, silly diets, silly cuts, and all that caper. They get there, and then before they're even called up, there's always a 2-hour delay. They have 20 shits.
Yeah.
Right? They could have turned up overweight. By the time they step on the mat, they're going to be underweight anyway.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, I think because I never put myself in a position where I need to win, I've got something to prove. Yeah. Like I didn't really have. Obviously, you get that. That's why I like fighting, right? Because I get that warm, fuzzy feeling, shall we say? It would never cripple me like it cripples some people, right? And it's because they let it eat them up.
Yeah, I guess. We had a girl in the gym, actually. I'm not going to say her name because it's not my place to say it, but that purple belt, probably one of the technically gifted female grapplers I've ever grappled with. She was great wrestler. She was tough as nails. Put her on the comp mat. She couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. And she's like, I can't do it. I just get myself so messed up. Go on, Gary Priestley. Well done, mate. Go on, Gaga.
Gary Priestley, also one of the coaches over at Submission Factory here in Scotland. So awesome grappler. Gary's
great grappler.
One of the amazing grapplers. Do you know what I mean?
Gary's one of the guys at our age group who's still smashing it now. Still smashing.
Well, he's not quite close to our age group. And
no, maybe not our age group, but he's getting on a bit. No offence, Gary.
Guys might take offence to that. Do you know what I mean? But he's not quite near our age yet.
He's not quite yet, but he's one of the older guys.
He's got a good few years on us. Do you know what I mean? He's got a good few years on us. So Gary, I'd like to apologise for my brother Andy here.
Don't kick my dick, guys, please.
But the awesome grappler, MMA fighter, still out there doing MMA fights. Do you know what I mean? Awesome guy, man. Awesome guy. So, but yeah, man, the nerves. I mean, see, the thing is, I never got nervous. I never ever got nervous at all. And people used to say to me, "Why are you not nervous?" And I'm like, "Why would I be nervous? Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm not going to die."
And that's the other one.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
So I'm going to get I'm going to get choked out, put to sleep. I'll wake up. Do you know what I mean? I'll still be the same person. I'll get my leg broke, my arm broke, or something like that. That's fine. It'll get better in 6 weeks, a couple of months, or whatever. I've got another arm. I've got another leg, so I'm cool.
It was a big dude that you fought at IBJJF blue belt. Big guy, 6'3" he was, 6'4". Blue belt.
The Drew Sullivan.
That's hilarious. You look like his wee boy in that fight. That's how big that guy was.
6'8".
6'8", yeah. He was.
He's got. That's 5 inches taller than me.
Oh,
yeah. That's almost a foot and a half taller than me. Do you know what I mean? So, and I remember going in, right, and it was funny because there was 3 of us in the division, but the way the IBJJF work is, it's not a round robin. So it's like somebody gets a bye to the final, right? So the person that got a bye to the final was the biggest guy in the fucking building, 6'8". So he got a bye to the final. So then I goes in, wins the first match, and then goes into the final against Drew. So I'm standing there across the mat. And again, do you know what? I was like, I'm not fucking nervous, man. What do you know what I mean? He's bigger than me. He's going to be the same size on his back. Do you know what I mean? He's exactly the same size as me on his back. So Drew then pulls guard, and he's just straightened his leg, and I was in the sky. I was fucking, do you know what I mean? I was like surfing. And then he then swept me over, and then with about, I don't know, 30 seconds left, I swept him back. And I remember he had Roger Gracie in his corner, and I was in the process of passing his guard. And you just heard Hodger Gracie in the background on the video shouting, "No, Drew, no!" Do you know what I mean? And the time ran out just as I was passing his guard, and I lost on an advantage. Do you know what I mean? Which, do you know what? I was like, I came in against this absolute giant. Do you know what I mean? It was like proper David versus Goliath. Do you know what I mean? And
he's got to be what? He's got to be not far off his black belt now, really.
I've not heard of Drew since 2019. Do you know what I mean? So he kind of went off the radar. I mean, hopefully he is still doing something.
No, hopefully he's still training.
But the difference between me and Drew was an Olympian.
Oh.
Which is a different mentality.
Yeah, they're different. Physically and mentally, irrespective of the sport they've played or the game they've played, they're different. I've got 2 in the gym now. They are our age. Like Ants is 52. I might be slightly wrong by a year. I'll probably cop it tomorrow at some point if I am. And Big Andy is 52 as well, right? 53. Both Olympian level athletes. One's a horse rider, one's the back end of a bobsleigh. Like absolute freak of nature back in the day. Andy was. That power and strength hasn't gone. He's still got it. He just can't maintain it like he used to, right? But it's no when someone says, "Oh, it's like a vice-like grip." Yeah, this is just like someone parking their lorry on you.
Yeah.
Right. And ants all 55, 56 kilo of her, horse riding. See, when you're in a guard, unless you're technically proficient, I don't care how big you are not getting out of that. Them legs are something else. Right. And she's built like olive oil, for fuck's sake. It's like, the other one that we had come in and sport in was Lucinda Green, and she's something like an eight times Olympic gold medalist in her sport, again, horse riding, right? So Lucinda would have been mid-60s when she come in, right? Very upper class, the horsey world. Oh, golly gosh, and that type of language. And when she was gripping up the lads, you could see the look in their face, because Granny, like literally, your granny just grabbed hold of you, and you've never felt a grip like that before. Like, yeah, different ear and different physically, regardless of the sport, 100%. Yeah.
Donna Jackson just saying ants guard. She's put up skull and crossbones up. Do you know what I mean? So, and then just laughing at the olive oil comment as well.
Aunt, we call her Super Gran in the thing, because she's 52, but generally she trains 4 or 5 times a day, every day. So you have somebody like that. She does the ladies' class in her gym, and she generally, to have somebody like Aunt, we don't realise how lucky you are, because when you're trying to run a women's class, especially, they see somebody like Aunt to the front, they don't get it until you get on the floor with somebody like Aunt. I roll with that Aunt all the time. I love her, but she competes like she's an Olympian, like we talk about. She's a different mindset.
Yeah. That's why Mark McQueen. I mean, see, like Mark McQueen. I mean, look how quickly Mark McQueen has rose through the ranks, and that's because he was a world champion powerlifter.
Right, before he started.
It's that world champion mentality. And again, we talk about it all the time. I mean, if you are a world champion in any sport at all, or an Olympic, not even a champion in the Olympics, but an Olympic
Olympic level, right?
Commonwealth level, it's a completely different level. I remember talking to Owen Livesey about this, and he was going to be taking on, I think it was Lou Long. Now, Lou Long's an MMA fighter. Owen Livesey, obviously the crazy grappler, Commonwealth judoka. And I remember saying to Owen Livesey, obviously Lou Long was also a judo black belt. And I said, obviously he's a judo black belt, so it could be not tricky, but do you know what I mean? It's like 2 judo black belts going at each other. And he's like, Stoom, there's a difference between a judo black belt and a Commonwealth judo black belt. There is a very, very big difference. Do you know what I mean? And when we go on the mat, you're going to see the difference. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but that's it. Yeah, definitely.
We all do that. Yeah, well, I remember watching an interview with Owen. He said, "We don't train like Olympians do. Like jiu-jitsu, we don't train like Olympians do." I mean, we've got Dan, one of the black belts in our gym. He's a high level guy. In fact, some of his guys train with the Commonwealth team. Some of his mates. And it's different. They train hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. We don't really do that. Even as the elite guys don't train the same way in jiu-jitsu as we do judo, specifically, especially. That's why most judo guys have all got fucked up knees and elbows over.
So judo's a harder sport anyway.
Yeah.
Like, to practice, the practice of judo, right, there's less to judo, more to jiu-jitsu, but physically, judo is not forgiving at all.
Yeah.
Like wrestling is more forgiving than judo.
Yeah,
right.
I agree with that.
And jiu-jitsu, but because it's not smashed into the floor, repeat. Like it's not as hard. Like you see them judokas, like that Dan Merritt's hands, like it looks like the Mummy Part 6. By the time he's finished, he's used the spool of tatami tape or something. Like, yeah.
Tell us
Pulling
as well.
strips off. You like that? You're grading everyone tonight, Dan. No, it's for my fingers. Fingers, wrists, shoulders, elbows. Like, it's absolute crazy. Absolute crazy. Speaking of Commonwealth level judokas, Chris Sherrington. Like, so obviously Jimmy was the head coach for the Royal Marines. Right.
Yeah.
So I used to travel up with him. And I remember the first time, and Chris Sherrington's a big, I'm not a small lad, right? But I am small. I'm small for that weight category, the above 100 kilo. I'm like 102 on a fat day, right? So I'm small for that weight category. And I remember being up at Limpstow training in their combat room, which was just a matted out squash court. And Chris Sherrington walked in his judo gi with his judo black belt on. I remember looking at him thinking, fucking size of this bloke, right? And there weren't an ounce of fat on him, right? He's a serving royal, right? So he's in shape. He's just come off of a 5-year, 6-year ramp up or something like that. And I remember rolling with him, like, and so most judo black belts, like, they got no ground game, right? And if they have, it's blue belt at best because they don't focus on the niwaza, right? Obviously, he had. Right, and if the sketch out of Avengers where the Hulk smashes Loki, that's pretty much what happened to me, right? And being the second biggest gentleman in that room, I looked around and everyone else is like, "Yeah, we're not rolling with that big man." Right? So then I've gone again and again and again and again and again because I need to figure it out, like. And then I asked him and said to him, I said, like, Chris, your ground game it is like, it's basic, but it's good. Like standing, he murdered me, absolutely murdered me. Like, but on the floor, I could not get submitted. Like, but he pretty much controlled when he was on top. Right. Like, and I asked him, there was no one his size here. So they used to farm him out. So Japan, Russia. So he picked up ground game. Like he had ground game. Like, who was the other big lad? Tank was the army champ, when the army judo champ. Like, and he was another like 18, 19 stone, 6'8", like army judo. He'd only ever lost to Chris. Right. Yeah. Standing with him, no, not unless I've got a bat in my hands. No. but on the floor, like, you could work, right? But that's not a forgiving sport, judo, right? And as far as grappling sports go, combat sports, like, I've trained with an Olympic level wrestler. Like, I trained with Soran. He was an alternate for a Romania team, right? The wrestling warm up, like is hard. Don't get me wrong, that is hard. But the actual wrestling, you're rolling through it, like you're not break fall. Like, and the mat returns in wrestling are not as brutal as the mat returns in judo, the hip throwing, right? Especially when the person that's thrown you is landing on you. Like, your soul's already left your body once you've been slapped across planet Earth, and then another human your size or bigger decides he's going to land on your diaphragm. Like, there's nothing left to come out. Like, it's not forgiving. It is not forgiving, that judo at all.
As well, I mean, obviously Xion Gym does a lot of great stuff for veterans, armed services, mental health, all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Not just that, but you talked about your women's classes as well. Your women's classes, do you know what I mean? I've been able to see grow and grow and grow. Do you know what I mean? And they're doing very, very well.
Really well.
Tell us about the veteran stuff and the mental health stuff and so on in particular.
So for me, with so I'm a vet, right? Andy's a vet. We live in a military town. You've got British Army HQ is a 5-minute walk up the road. Like, you've got it's a super camp, right? We're smack bang in the middle of a super camp. So I'm not a fan of the Ministry of Defence, right? I think it's full of old crusty shithouses, right? But I am a fan of the boys. I am a fan of the lads. I've always been a fan of the lads, and I'll die a fan of the lads, right? So for me, whenever I've been given an opportunity to give back to them, like I've always done it. I've never taken a penny off of the stuff that I've done for any of the army lads, as in going into camp and teaching, doing a seminar for the army team, or like I'm just happy to give back. I'm happy to still be part of it, and I'm happy to be around the lads, right? So that's what it is for me. For the vets, that's probably more down to Andy, especially with the mental health side of things. It's only really been the last 3 years that I've actually accepted that mental health is a thing. Right. Prior to that, I've always been pull your fucking socks up and get on with it, son. But yeah, I get it. I see the bigger picture. Like, but that's more down to Heed. Heed's always been like, it's good for this, it's good for that. I mean, it's good for me. Without it, without jiu-jitsu, I'd probably be residing His Majesty's pleasure somewhere, right? Way back when, I'd still be serving now for it, right? So it took that. Jiu-jitsu initially, it took that away. That bit that's inside me that likes to scrap, like it sort of took it away, like. When I got to a level at jiu-jitsu, like before, so as a young squaddy, I'd go and cause it, right? I'd go and cause it, and again, it's probably half the reason why I'm not worried about a loss. It's because I've had more kick-ins than I've ever kicked, like, you know. Yeah. I think when I started with the jiu-jitsu and I realised, like, I got to a point in life where I wouldn't go looking for it. I wouldn't cause it. But if it come looking for me, like, well, let's find out. Like, and then move on from that. It's to a point of just let me buy you a drink, mate.
Yeah.
This is pointless. And it's odd, but so people that aren't involved in jiu-jitsu, like, and they're like that, or he's still scrapping then, right? It's like, well, no, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not that anymore. And when someone provokes me to that point, I usually get very upset at myself because I've allowed someone to make me feel that way. Right. But yeah, so it's that side of it for me has done wonders, 100%.
For me on that, I try to promote it through Xion, mental health especially. We've done loads of different seminars and food banks and everything for charities. We like to give back, but we're both veterans. We both know what it's like to come out of the army, feel lost, feel like you're literally on the precipice of fucking doing nothing. We've seen, even we're talking about that. We're talking about a few of the guys that still train with us. They're losing their guys still to this day, taking their own lives. So me personally, I promote that through every fucking opportunity I can get with Xion, because we're a military town. We look after our own. We'll always look after our own. That's as simple as that. And they come first. So I love to do it. We've just become the part of the reorg group. There's a couple of people coming into the gym using the reorg charity to train, which is great. They just
to touch on that with reorg is we've just had our first student be accepted for the reorg 365. So that I don't know the ins and outs of, like, I know you've got to apply for it and then you have to be approved. So clearly there's something there because it's a charity dealing with services, veterans, and mental health and that side of thing. Like, but she's a police officer. She's a current police officer. Like, she applied for, I think it was either the 30 or the 60 to start with. So 30 days membership, a month's membership, and then 2 months membership. He's just been granted this morning a full year's membership by Reorg. Like,
Nice.
shout out to Sam Sheriff for what he's doing with that, because it's absolutely fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Like, yeah. So
Like Donna at the bottom of the stage there, Steve Hunt. Great effort from the Coffee and Chokes is also brilliant. That was a thing we're going to start doing more regularly. Just getting the lads in. Get a guy comes in and makes coffee, and we all sit about and chat. We roll. That's important, man. We need to start sharing this stuff. We need to get these guys out the house and in the gym. It's really important. So shout out to Steve Humphrey as well, man, for that.
It's definitely really one thing. I mean, I've always been massive on it, like mental health especially. Do you know what I mean? Regardless if it's like veterans or whoever. I mean, men especially. Do you know what I mean? Men especially. The one thing that men don't do, or we didn't do, was talk about our shit. We didn't talk about it because, as I said, like when I was growing up, exactly as you said there, Chris, it was like pull your socks up, or the words I always used to hear was man up. Right, and that was always the thing, right? So it was like growing up, your dad would be like, you know what I mean? You're a man, you don't have time to be depressed. You don't have time to be anxious. You don't have time to do any of this shit. Just get on with it. Do you know what I mean? So, and obviously as time went on, do you know what I mean? Like some of the childhoods we had was fucking horrendous. Do you know what I mean? Like if you were born in the 70s, maybe anywhere before, if you were born anywhere before the mid 90s, chances are your childhood was fucking terrible. Do you know what I mean? Which then affected everything you done, because then you had young guys like 15, 16, 17, they're taking drugs, they're going out and enjoying themselves, whether it be recreational drugs to go out partying or smoking weed all the time. And then, do you know what I mean? And that was for me, that was my kind of crutch to take me away from the thoughts that was going on in my head. So that took me away from it. And then obviously as time went on, once I stopped doing all that, then shit started coming to me, and I was like, right, okay, how am I going to deal with this? And it took me a number of years to then find jiu-jitsu. And then jiu-jitsu is always, people always say, oh, jiu-jitsu saved my life or changed my life, which in a lot of ways is a cliche because you hear it all the time. But certainly from my point of view, it 100% saved me from wherever I was going to end up. Do you know what I mean? So, and I say I didn't start until I was like 36.
I would either have been on the edge of a bridge because I was suicidal, and I've had this conversation with you like before, so I don't really want to get into it again, but I was that suicidal that I nearly threw myself off a bridge. On the other side of that, though, because I like to fight, I'm the same as Chris. I would either be dead or I'll be presiding at Her Majesty's pleasure in Berlin. One or the other. One of them would have happened. One of them. So mental health in that aspect of jiu-jitsu, even if you just come in, sit and do 2-3 rolls, do 45 minutes of your class, you feel better for it when you walk out the door. After the nerve, that's got to be a plus for that day. That's what you've got to look at. And for somebody like Sam Sheriff to do all that stuff for Reorg, Blesma, who we've helped out in the charity seminars with, what's his name? Who was it? Black belt, army guy, did the seminar for Blesma. Ricky Bell. Sorry, Ricky. We do a lot of stuff, but it's important to give back. So even like if we had somebody come into your gym and they were struggling mentally, like really bad, and we knew that, we'd help, because that's what we did. As a gym, we look after our own, we look after our people. We want to make our community good, and we work hard to make it that way. And everybody that knows Xion, knows Chris, knows it's a welcoming gym, knows it's a place where you can come and have a laugh and forget all that other shit, because it's not important. So when you walk in that door, you're here to train. Don't worry about anything else. You're just here to train, and that's the best mental health you can get. Is keep fit, keep healthy. It's really important. Really important.
It's even just being there. I mean, as you don't even need to roll. Just being in the gym, sitting at the side, watching what's going on. Because I've been in the gym a few times, where obviously the guys have been rolling, and obviously I've been sitting at the side because, do you know what I mean? I don't know. I just, do you know what I mean? There'll be times where I want to train, there are times I won't want to train, and I've sat there and I've watched, and like Andy will be rolling, and I'll be sitting there talking shit while Andy's rolling, and I'll be telling his opponent, whoever he's rolling with, make sure you choke him or make sure you do that. Do you know what I mean? Just having a laugh.
Uh,
And Andy will be
yeah,
chatting
no,
shit back to me. Do you know what I mean? So
Just chatting shit, banter, right?
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's the big thing. It's, do you know what I mean? Like something like that hour, even if I'm not training, just being there for that hour gives you a buzz for the rest of the day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because you just had
I
a
mean,
laugh, you had fun.
so some of the banter that goes on in Zion, because it's top heavy, military, like it is to some people. Like they probably look at it and they're like, I'm going to leave here with mental health issues. But then it's the nature of the people, right?
Yeah.
Like so some of the abuse that goes on between teammates, friends, colleagues, like is it's quite brutal at times.
Oh, it could be. That's just about as bad as you photoshopping me on that England half-ice fucking rashes. Bit like that, mate. Bit like that one. I put that on the Xion group and everybody burst out laughing, mate. That's how bad it was. I got abused for that for days, mate. They're all going, you've gone, he's English now. They've gone, he's no fucking English. we don't fucking want him. I was getting it with both sides, you know what I mean?
But that's the thing. I mean, obviously, like, obviously, you're my brother, Andy. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can slag you off as much as I want. Chris can slag you off as much as you want. But I won't have anybody that doesn't know you slag you off.
No.
I'll be the first person to stand up and go, hold on a minute.
You're all right. But listen, I can call him whatever the fuck I want. You're not allowed to do that, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, do you know what I mean? If I call you my brother, do you know what I mean? I've got your back. This is, do you know what I mean? That's the way it is.
Always,
do you know what I mean?
mate.
So,
Always.
and, do you know what I mean? So, I can slag you off and do whatever, say whatever I want. Obviously, Chris is the same. Obviously, Chris unfortunately has the honour of having to deal with you on a daily basis now. Alright, so that's why he understands mental health now. He's like, I've got mental health now, having to deal with Andy Baker.
I've been in there 6 years. It took him 3 years to understand mental health. That's 3 years that he had to deal with me before he understood mental health issues. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's important. I mean, that's it.
That's important, really.
We lose.
We take the piss at it, but it is generally important. It's generally important.
I mean, we lose. Yeah, we lose guys every day. Do you know what I mean? The mental health. We still lose.
100%. Like, so I spent a bit of time last year with a counsellor that then led to a trauma management team. And I was just looking for an explanation, because it's like my life is on a 10-year cycle, and it's good, destruct, good, destruct. And it's like, I got to a point and I'm like, I'm fucking done. Like I'm done with this cycle. Literally every 10 years, right? I just fuck everything up. And it's like, and then someone said, you ever thought about speaking to a shrink? I'm like, nah. no. Like, do you know what I mean? I'll just accept the shit that I've caused, pull up my socks, and I'll move forward. Right? Which as much as it is a good attitude, it ain't the correct way of dealing with it. Yes, moving forward, but maybe deal with the problems.
Yeah.
Like whilst you're moving forward, right? Yeah. And then what I got from it was I actually got a better understanding of me.
Yeah.
Like it's me. I understand me better. I understand why I used to react to certain things a certain way. I understand why I react to certain things the same way today. Yeah. Right? And it's a work in progress. Yeah. Right. So if I was to give advice to anyone that's around 50 that's never seen a shrink, bro, you need to go fucking speak to them.
Yeah.
Right? Whether you're feeling sad or not, because I don't feel sad. Right? Sad is not what I feel.
Yeah.
Right? I can feel tired, bone idle, lazy, happy as a fucking giddy man, or raging.
Yeah.
Right? I don't do the sad bit. The sad bit's not there. Right?
Yeah.
Like where Andy's had thoughts about skydiving without a parachute. Like I've never had them thoughts. My thoughts have always been like you know, I don't have the. I used to say I don't have the ability. I got asked once by a military doctor. I was trying to blag a flat. I'd ended up homeless for a while, and I was trying to blag a flat. So I went in to see him. My GP was on leave, and he was covering. I went in his room, his office. I ignored the pictures. He printed off me, I don't know, several Bibles about PTSD. Wrote me a prescription from tablets that I had no right taking, pretty much. Like, and he said, "Do you have thoughts of suicide?" I'm like, "That never." Right, that was it. Never. He's like that. Do you have thoughts about hurting people? Yeah. Right. And then I never went back. I never went back. Like I never read the paperwork. I took the tablets for 2 days. My mum come round, took them off me, flushed them down the toilet, said it's not normal. Like, you don't walk around like a Cheshire cat 24 hours a day, boy, you never have. Right. So they got flushed. Right. They were amazing and all. I used to call them the sunshine tablet. Get up, take one in the morning, and you just didn't give a fuck about anything. It was fucking great. Yeah. And then after last year, like things started speaking to the psychologist and then that trauma team. And it turns out I'm not a violent person. I haven't got a fascination with fighting or anything like that. It was put to me that you were self-harming. I'm like that. At first, my reaction was like that. Really?
Yeah.
Like these people that strike themselves up and burn themselves with the clipper lighter, like that, stuff the fag out on themselves. Exactly that. Just that you would do it by proxy.
Yeah.
I was like that. Oh, like fucking that.
Interesting, all that.
For like from the age of 10 onwards, right? Like I didn't finish school. They put me in the tutorial center. Like I yeah, some of the shit I did as a teenager, just like in insanity, right? Like yeah, and then all the way through, all as a squaddy, right? Violence.
Yeah.
Come out, put yourself in a position where you're working and there's violence. Right?
Yeah.
And then openly accepting it or causing it, and it's like, if you told me, oh yeah, he's violent, you'd never think, oh, he's self-harming.
Yeah, definitely not. No.
Right? I mean, don't get me wrong, it doesn't justify the action at the time, right? And I wouldn't want it to, right? But oh yeah, it definitely helped out for me. So anyone out there that's watching this, if you're 50 and you're a bloke, right? I don't know about women, right? But you're a bloke. You women tend to talk a bit more, and you're a bloke. If you're 50 and you're a bloke, like, go speak to someone.
Yeah.
You'll probably learn something about yourself. I learned a lot about me and about my behaviour.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, play it up, by the way.
A lot of the time it is. I mean, we manage it. I don't know if we manage the right word. I mean, we struggle sometimes with what's going on. Do you know what I mean? In your head, whether obviously you're going through what they call self-harming for you, Chris. Obviously, Andy having certain thoughts in his head. Mine was always physical. I had physical things, so like headaches, all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, and for years I thought I was dying. Do you know what I mean? I literally thought I was dying, and it was every single day. Do you know what I mean? And then it wasn't until I was the same, went to the doctor. After I remember changing doctor, and then the doctor saying, "Have you ever been prescribed tablets for depression?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not really depressed. The only thing I was depressed about was the way I was feeling." Right? And then he gave me 6 months of Prozac, and within 6 months I was fucking back to my old self again. Do you know what I mean? Within 6 months, and this had went on for like 3 or 4 years. Do you know what I mean? So, and it was just that change in doctor. Had I still been at the same doctor, I'd have probably still been in the same shit I'm in as I was back then. Do you know what I mean? So, but the thing that also helped me was, as I said, jiu-jitsu. As soon as I walked in, it was Gracie Barra in Glasgow. Now, Gracie Barra in Glasgow always had it was a big name, but obviously there was some questionable things going on in the background, right? Well, that's a whole other story, right? That's a whole other story.
There's always questionable things going on in the background. Always.
I'll tell you about them when I see you tomorrow night, Chris.
But the thing was, like like in any kind of combat sports, it needs to be your time, right? You can't go, see if you go and try and join a jiu-jitsu gym or an MMA gym or whatever, and it's not your time, you won't last, right? You'll never last. So, and it has to be the right person that gets you started, the correct coach that gets you started. For me, that time was the right time, and Ricky Gillen was the right person, right? And for everything, and again, a lot of people slag him off and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So, but what he done for me in that 3 years that I trained with him was absolutely brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I went from 127 kilo, being completely out of shape, diagnosed type 2 diabetic, chronic anxiety, all this kind of stuff. And within 6 months, I dropped 30 kilos. And I was a completely different person. Do you know what I mean? So, and then I started competing, and I started winning, and I started doing stuff. So, but he was the right person for me at that time. And as I say, when I'd done that, being around these people that were like-minded people was absolutely brilliant. And I remember moving to Marcus's, and then obviously I kind of knew Andy through competition anyway, knew Damien and stuff like that. And then I met, like, Damien and Andy were just like me. We were similar ages, and they were just like me. They were completely fucked up in the head, just like I was. They were loud. They were brash. Do you know what I mean? They would talk shit to everybody. So we were just exactly the same. Do you know what I mean? So when I walked in there, I remember walking in for the very first time into Likens, and Andy being there, he's like, I never thought I would see the fucking day. Do you know what I mean? And obviously I've walked in, and then obviously there was Damien, Big George McMillan and all that was there. And we started calling each other Mustangs because we were the over 40 crew, or and we were Mustangs.
Now we're getting too close to 50 for that shit, mate. We're not Mustangs anymore. We're fucking crazy. We're more like Clydesdales. You know what I mean?
But that was we were the Mustang crew. We were the older guys, and we were all similar, like mentality, everything was very, very similar about us. And then we learned things off each other. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was always the one that would be like, fucking, I would go out in the competitions and I'd be like, I don't give a fuck who it is. Whoever it is, I'm going to start ripping the piss out them as I walk in the building. So as soon as I walked in and I seen my opponent, I would make it straight for the opponent and be like, I mean, you're going to be fucking rolling about in about an hour's time or 2 hours' time. And then I would spend that whole hour or 2 hours just winding that guy up. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, like, Andy would be there, and Andy would be like, yeah, fucking go and wind him up. Do you know what I mean? Or Damien. And it was fun, man. Do you know what I mean? And then,
they were good times, mate.
Yeah, but as obviously, that was my get out. I had to be around people. Do you know what I mean? I had to be around people to make me feel better, make me feel good. Do you know what I mean? So,
you know the funny thing about jiu-jitsu and mental health for me, right? See, when I first walked in there, I was still a cocky, really fucking on it every weekend, like from Thursday to Monday, probably 24 hours a day, just in a fucking mess. But you start training at white belt, and then you meet guys that are blue belt, like Johnny Stewart blue belt back then. And I'm looking at the way he trains, what he's drinking, what he's eating, how they're preparing themselves for competition. For that first year, I'm looking at these people. So you start to change your mentality. Your mentality goes from, instead of drinking every fucking weekend, maybe I'll just stay off it and I'll start drinking more water. I'll drink more water all week. I'll start to look at the way I'm eating. So look at me, I'm dropping kilos here. I can see my weight coming off me. I can actually look a bit thinner. You surround yourself with better people, and you're exercising. You're learning a skill for life. Jiu-jitsu is a skill for life. So your mindset's changing constantly when you start jiu-jitsu, because you're just surrounding yourself with people who want to be better. They want to be better because they want to be stronger, so they're lifting weight. They want to be better because they want to be more flexible. They start doing yoga. They start eating fucking greens that you never eat before. You start trying these, you know what I mean? So you're changing your mentality all the time. So by the time you get to blue belt, you're fucking probably dropped 10 kilos. You're healthier. Your mindset's on competition, because now you're competing every month like we used to do. And you start to drift away from the fucking idiots in your life who cause you all the fucking problems, or know that they cause you any problems. You're easily led by those people, or they can hit you with that thing. That's really important to me, because I did that for a year. I blamed everybody for the way I was. I was the same as Chris. I was like a 7-year cycle. I just destroy myself every 7 years. That's why I've got 3 wives, because I fucked them all up. You know what I mean? There was 7-year cycles because I was a fucking idiot. So I changed the way I live, and I changed the way I eat, the way I think, and I concentrate, put some discipline, start training harder, start working that, drink more water, and you get better by doing that. It changes you mentally, definitely.
But then it's the same thing. I mean, you come into jiu-jitsu or any kind of combat sports, there's idiots in this shit as well. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of wankers in this game, man. Do you know what I mean?
No. It can't be true, bro. There's no ego in jiu-jitsu.
Fuck, man. You show me a gym where there's no ego in that gym, man, and you're a lying bastard, man. Do you know what I mean?
You show me a gym where there's no ego, and I'll show you a flaccid gym.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's it. There has to be ego. It just needs to be controlled, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like we've all got it. We've all got the ego, right? It's just reining it in.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of wankers.
Knowing when to use your ego is important, because you don't need to use your ego in the gym when you're rolling with your training partners. You keep your ego for when you start fucking competing. You know what I mean?
But it happens to everyone, right? Everyone's ego gets the better of them when they're training.
Yeah.
Everybody, right? Yeah. It's having people around you that can
rein it in,
absorb your stupidity and rein you in.
Yeah. So true. Yeah. It's true, that, isn't it? So true.
I just had to say, when I remember going to Marcus's and having the right people around me. I'd say Andy Baker. Don't get me wrong, we were fucking bonkers together. Us two together in a competition room, right? Is like we're the loudest two in the room, right? We're just jumping about like we're two fucking kids that our mums have given me too much fucking E-number sweets, right? And we've just went boom.
I'm not saying. I'm still the same.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same, man. Do you know what I mean? I've not changed. I'm a fucking 47-year-old Ned that kicks about in a competition, walking about like I own the joint. Like, this is mad. And I remember we used to send a picture to each other. It was like, I'd walk in, fuck shit up, walk out. Right? And it was always, when I would tell people, like even the kids, like my son, I remember talking to my son at his first comp, and he was 16, and I remember saying, walk in the building like it's your fucking building, right? This is my building. Walk onto the mat. This is my mat. Do you know what I mean? And he went out and obviously did the same thing. And my daughter, everybody calls her Mini Stoom because she's fucking nuts as well. She'll go into a competition and she'll be like, fucking, yeah, this is my shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, this belongs to me. Nobody's taking this away from me. Do you know what I mean? And then she's went out and she's been successful in competition. Do you know what I mean? But the thing I made with like my kids was never mind the result. Go out and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Have fun, right? And my kids go out, like my daughter especially, will go out there and you'll talk to her before she's about to go on the mat, and you'll say to her, "How you feeling?" So, I'm all right, aye. Look how nervous my opponent looks, Dad. And you look over at the opponent's shitting himself. And she's like, I'm just ready to go out and just have fun. And you see that in her performance. And she's only, 16? And she's going out there and she's just having fun and enjoying it. Do you know what I mean? So,
I love that.
and I said, everybody calls her Mini Stoom, which she secretly loves. But she'll tell me, I hate that. But then, yeah, she changed her Instagram name and everything to Mini Stoom. So, come on, man.
Love it, mate.
Tell us about you then, Chris. If you had to go back to your younger self, knowing what you know now, obviously, everything that you know in your life, jiu-jitsu, any kind of combat sports, what advice would you have given your younger self?
Stay away from the pot. Stay away from alcohol. Train harder. Learn. Learn about physicality. Like as a young man, like I think I was quite fortunate in that aspect because I grew up in the middle of nowhere. old man wasn't around. He was working. Mother was working. We all had the same, right? Because we're the same era, right? So we know how that is, right? So if I wanted into town, I had to walk, run, or get on a push bike, right? So I was physical as a kid. Like my summer holidays were spent working the corn dryer and lifting bales for 6 weeks. Right. So I've always had a reasonable physicality. I've always been in. I've always kept myself in what I'd like to think a reasonable shape as far as being strong is concerned, compared to those that just don't bother. Like, so as a young man, like it doesn't matter what you use to get yourself in shape. Like, everybody's got their own preference. For some it's powerlifting, some it could be bodybuilding, for others it could be strongman, it could be athletics, running, track and field type stuff, rugby, whatever it is that you've got as a young man, right, that you enjoy, that helps this and it keeps this good and in good nick, right? Focus on that. Don't be focusing on pilling it up and beering it up on a Friday night, right? And don't be doing that, and don't focus. I'm not saying cut that completely out. Like, I'm saying once a month, one night a month is enough, right? Not to the extremes of
Thursday to Monday.
Yeah. Like, and you'll find that by doing that and keeping that in check, everything else just falls into place. So I like lifting. Like, it bores me to death now, and it's probably bored me to death for the last 10 years. I still do it. I do it because as soon as I stop, it starts affecting my physicality on the mat, as in I start getting injured quicker. It doesn't affect my strength or anything like that. It affects. So by lifting weights now, I'm keeping off injuries. It makes my joints stronger, right? The other thing that goes that I notice is if I don't have, and it's not routine because I'm not up at the same time every morning in the gym doing this, and this. It's not that. If I don't have that couple of times a week where I go and lift, right, I deteriorate mentally. Right. And it's a noticeable. It will show itself physically when that deterioration starts to happen, but because of the attitude adjustment that I have from not doing it. So as a young man, be active. Doesn't matter what it is. Listen, jiu-jitsu for everyone, right? But not everyone's for jiu-jitsu. Like, if jiu-jitsu's your vessel to keep your body and your head correct, so everything else in life falls behind. Like jiu-jitsu's such a social thing. Lifting weights isn't a social thing, right? Like, don't get me wrong, it probably is for some people. You see them in there and they're in the gym for 2 to 3 hours. They've only actually exercised for half an hour, right? But they're in the gym for 2 to 3 hours. So that, but that's cool as well, right? But like, if you want a good workout, you want to learn a skill, and you want to keep yourself mentally in check and physically in check, jiu-jitsu, right? And if not jiu-jitsu, judo. And if not judo, and you've got a good wrestling club, like, go there. And if it's not that, and you're more of a striker, you like the idea of being punched and kicked, go that way. It'll all do the same, right? It'll all do the same for you. So that's what I would say. Like, I was lucky that, like, I had an active childhood. I lived in the middle of nowhere. By the time I was kicked out of school, what I was kicked out of school for, no one wanted me. No other school would take me. My old man's attitude was, you better get a full-time job. My attitude at the time was, they've just made a new law, Dad, where minors can't work full-time hours. His answer was, you better get 2 part-time jobs. So I got 2 part-time jobs, right? Started paying rent. And then the village copper, we don't seem to have them anymore. I think you should bring the village copper back. I think we desperately need village coppers again. Like, I did something stupid. He caught me. He twisted me up, stuck his foot up my bum. He dragged me round the house. My dad was away working, and he told my mum, if by the age of 16 he isn't in the army, the navy, or the air force, he'll be going to prison, Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2 weeks before my 16th birthday, I was moping around town, stoned. Right. Had nothing to do. It was pissing down with rain. I walked past the army's career office about 10 times that day. And then on the 11th time, I'm like, do you know what? I'm about done.
Yeah.
I'm about done. I'm just going to sign up and see where I go. When I got home later that day, it broke my mum's heart, but it made my dad happy as Larry.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I went from there. Did life change in some aspects? Yes, drastically. I was out of here. Like, I was getting to see a bit more. Like, definitely getting education. I was definitely being kept fit and in shape. Right. The only problem was they enjoyed and encouraged the thing that
you like. We all like violence.
huh?
Violence.
Yeah. Right. So it's yeah.
Let's never did you anything wrong, Chris. You're here.
Huh?
You're here now. It never did you anything wrong, man. Do you know what I mean? You're
No,
here now.
I've listen. Like I've been all over the world.
Yeah.
Like I've done some crazy jobs, right? And I'm here. I'm here. I'm alive. I've got a lovely family. I've got a thriving business. And every now and then I still go to work with the boys, right? All right. I'm not tooled up. I don't look like Johnny Rambo anymore. It's a bit more sedate. And yeah, it's I still get to hang with the boys at work, right? It's good. Yeah. Life is actually quite good. Right.
Andy, just before we go to you, obviously Katie just saying 3 wives, Andy Baker. So Andy might be looking for another wife here, man.
That's my future wife there, by the way. Bye.
So yeah, Andy might be looking for a new wife here, man. Do you know what I mean? Katie might be kicking him out that thatched roof fucking cottage. Do you know what I mean? That English home, man, and send you back up the road.
Hey, mate, I couldn't live a more English life if I tried, mate. You know what I mean?
Well, what about you, Andy? Obviously, younger self. Do you know what I mean? Like, I know a bit about your story. Do you know what I mean? So crazy lifestyle. Do you know what I mean? Scotland was a crazy time, man. The 90s especially, Andy. We were coming through, man. The parties and all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
It was 90s was crazy everywhere, right? Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, England, madness, absolute madness.
Yeah,
we all come from that. We all come from that generation of Hangar 13 and the Fur Bar in Scotland and the Metro in Falkirk. What I would do for my younger self, I'd probably tell myself to listen to my fucking parents more and love yourself a bit better. Because I hated myself and I was angry all the time. I could have picked a fight in a fucking empty house. I generally could have. I was an angry wee guy. Just love yourself a bit more. Take me care of yourself. Because I tell my kids that now. I look at them now and I look at my boy, Josh, still in Scotland, 16. And he went through a period there when he got stabbed in the leg, he got jumped by 12 guys. He went through a tough time. But he's at the other side of it now. I want him to be better. So I would tell my younger self or my younger kids, like I would do now, especially Marley and his family, is love yourself a bit more. And actually listen to the older generation because they actually do know what they're talking about. Even if you wouldn't fucking agree with it at the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I would do.
Donna's just saying yes, call him out, Katie. Call him out.
I'm never going to live that down, man. I'm never living that down.
Listen, Katie, it's his age, man. He's getting on in the back. Do you know what I mean? He's a wee bit forgetful. Do you know what I mean? So you can't blame him, Katie. You can't blame him. Do you know what I mean? So, the final thing, then, obviously, you guys have been awesome tonight, man. It's been an absolute brilliant chat. I definitely need to get down.
Oh, you're always welcome. Whenever you want. Whenever you want.
I'm one of these guys. I mean, obviously at the moment I'm not training. I'm not training at all just now because I've got other things going on. But do you know what I mean? I'm consistent and then I'm not, and then I'm consistent and then I'm not. Do you know what I mean?
You see where I live? I live in a fucking fat cottage in the countryside, bro. Up at Kenner, you can live outside for a few days if you want.
Could you imagine me let loose in a fucking village, living in a tent for 2 days? You know what I mean? Like,
They fucking love you up and down this street, mate. They can hear us from one end to the other one. You know what I mean?
but yeah, so final thing for you guys then. So obviously you guys have been in this game for a long time. Do you know what I mean? A long time. So anybody you want to shout out to? Any kind of friends, family members, teammates, anybody like that? We'll start with you first of all, Chris.
I'll leave that to Chris, mate. I'll leave that to Chris.
So, shout out to Amory Batet and Roberto Almeida. Right, especially Roberto. Obviously, we don't see Amory as much because he's in Miami. But Roberto's always on the phone. Like he is from the first time I ever met him, ever trained with him. Like he's the one that took me to my first ever Euros. I was on weight before I got off of the plane in Portugal. Within a day, I was overweight and drunk. The following 5 days were just complete madness. And yeah, he verbally abused me when I lost my matches because I was hungover. Funnily enough, yeah. So shout out to Roberto, like an amazing coach, an amazing friend. I've got to do a shout out to Tarek Bilgic. He's probably the longest standing training partner I have, Tarek. Yeah, so shout out to Tarek. Shout out to Ant. She deserves a special mention. Like, she's one of my best mates by far. And just the grit that she's got. Like, she's up in the morning, she'll come and train in the gym with me. Like, I don't know any 52-year-old women doing sets of 10 pull-ups. I don't know any. Right, and then she's in at lunchtime. She's rolling for an hour.
Yeah.
Right, and she's giving as good as she gets every time. Right. So yeah, shout out to her for being hardcore. Shout out to all the coaches. Shout out to Andy. Like he asked and asked and asked and asked. Like got his shot and the beginners classes. Boom, massive. Like whole new wave of life. Just breezing through the gym. And it's down to him. Shout out to Xion as a whole. Shout out to all the training partners that have come and gone. Shout out to all the students that have come and gone. Right. Yeah. So some of them are just stunning people in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Donna
Jackson's just saying, you never shouted out her for sticking with us a lot for the almost 2 hours.
Go on, Donna. That's our resident nurse, by the way. Anytime there's anything ever wrong, we phone Donna first. Yeah. She's getting the first protocol. So shout out to Donna.
Yeah. Donna's just saying, obviously you gentlemen had me laughing so hard. It's been proper funny. Also really eye-opening. Do you know what I mean? Because again, do you know what I mean? We have a laugh, but then there's also serious things we talk about as well. So, and then she's just saying loves her Xion family. Do you know what I mean? Exactly as you've said there, Chris. Absolutely love the family. Do you know what I mean? So, what about you, Andy? Anybody want to say? You need to shout out Katie, man. You can't leave out Katie.
I've got to shout out to my future wife, Katie Holland, now because he's giving me shit on her.
he needs to shout out his third wife. His third wife.
For some reason, she gets called Cat in the gym, right? We can't figure out where it came from. I think it was Joe that called her Cat, Kathleen. You know, sort of Irish thing on it, right? She gets called Katie Cat now. So, shout out to Katie. Shout out to everybody I've ever trained with, from Will Russell up in Sunderland to Kev McAllister in Liverpool ASW, Chris Thompson in Spain, Marcos and Joking, all the boys, Johnny Stewart, all the boys up there. Fucking hell, there's too many. Cheers for being part of my journey. And obviously to Chris and Roberto, these are the guys that they've been fucking amazing with me. And Xion, I love the place. I love the place. Literally, it's my home now. I get all fucked up if I'm not there for a few days. You know what I mean? So it's fair play to take this especially. You know what I mean? So that's it. That's me, mate. That's good luck to you. And you used him because I love you and I miss you, bro.
Mate, you're my brother. You know what I mean? You know that. You know, if you ever need me, I'm there all the time.
Mate.
I know, mate. Like, I never leave you hanging, man. Do you know what I mean?
Get down here.
Yeah.
Get down here.
I need to come down. I need to come down.
Do you know why you've not been down? Do you want me to tell you why you've not been down?
How? It's because Andy's.
I'll tell you why you've not been down here. Because he come down here and he didn't go back.
Well, maybe, aye. But then you could. There's no way you can have me and Andy, man. Chris, you'd be like, do you know what? I've got them violent tendencies would come back.
I have them with him anyway.
He has them with me every fucking week, mate. Every week.
But nah, I do need to get down. Do you know what I mean? I need to come down. Andy's my brother, man. I need to come down.
Come and stay here for a couple of days. We'll make space, man.
So I
listen. So the Battetti team as a whole, the Almeida team as a whole, is growing, right? It's when you look at the people that have. So Tarek's got Urso. It's a full-time academy in Basingstoke. You've got Andy Manzalo with Predators in Southampton, right? Yeah. You've got Big Paul Clowbury up in Highclere, Bournemouth way, with his school. It's and then you've got Roberto, right? So you've got ABC Club, Ray Stevens is, and then like it's so intertwined. I actually don't think that people realise how big that, like, to think that it was Roberto and then us, boom.
Yeah.
And it's like, don't get me wrong, we're not a Carlson Gracie's, we're not a Gracie Baja. These teams have been around from time, like, but we do have our roots secured in the very, very beginning.
Yeah.
Like when I look at, and I don't knock anyone's lineage, I do believe it's important. I think there's a generation coming through where I'm not saying they don't care about it. I'm just saying they don't know about it. And because of that, they don't understand their lineage. Right. Yes. So when I look at my lineage, it is, and I'm not dismissing anyone that I've ever trained under. I'm not dismissing Adam Fieldhouse. I'm not dismissing Victor Estema. You can't, right? Victor's a legend in his own right. Yes. And he's a lovely bloke. So I'm not dismissing Jimmy, Trevor, or any of them boys from Phoenix. I'm not dismissing any of them. But when I look at my lineage, and it's me, Roberto, Amarie, Carlson Gracie Sr., Carlos Gracie Sr., Missio Maeda, Jigoro Kano. Like, how far away am I from the source?
Yeah.
Hence the name Xion.
Yeah.
Because it's the source, the root, the source, right? Like their lineage is amazing. To think that I'm training with people that were part of that back then. They were part of Carlson Gracie Seniors way back when in Brazil. Yeah. It's like amazing, absolutely amazing. And to see how it's growing in the UK. Right. Yeah.
It's going to get bigger, but as I say that, I said this earlier on in the call, but the young team don't know what their lineage is at all. They don't understand it. They will one day. I mean, as they get older, they'll then start understanding about lineage and stuff like that. But these guys are off on a different. Like, the big thing at the moment is no gi, right? So no gi, like ADCC, is not jiu-jitsu.
No, submission wrestling. Submission wrestling.
Submission grappling is not Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So a lot of the no gi they're doing nowadays is it's not no gi jiu-jitsu. It's no gi because they're doing wrestling. They're doing, do you know what I mean, submission grappling and all that kind of stuff. So
I call it that. I don't have a no gi class. You do jiu-jitsu or you do submission grappling. Yeah.
Right. So that's why I always have the conversation with, especially the guys in Marcus's. Do you remember, like, my jiu-jitsu is this, my jiu-jitsu is that? But you don't actually train jiu-jitsu. No. You train submission grappling.
If you've not got a gi on, if you're not wearing a gi, you're not doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You're wrestling, you're submission grappling, Yeah,
So
that's basic. It's simple. Yeah, listen, be good at that because you need to do that. It's fun. I love doing not submission grappling, but it's not Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you need a heel.
But you if you have the same conversation with the likes of Cam or Chris or them boys from what was ASW, and they're catch wrestlers originally, right? Don't get me wrong, they're as respected in the gi with the people that they've got their black belts from and everything else, but they are from a submission grappling background. When you speak to them, it's not no gi, it's submission grappling.
yeah.
All right. It's submission grappling, jiu-jitsu, submission grappling.
Chris Thompson's a fucking great laugh, by the way. I trained with him over in Spain last year, and I thought, I wonder how this is going to go, because I know he's got a fucking heavy-duty background in all these different catch wrestling, and he absolutely battered me. No, by the way, Louise, his missus, fucking hell, man, she battered me and all. Congratulations, Louise, for getting your black belt, by the way, because she well deserved that. She was awesome. So fair play to both of them, man.
No, definitely. So there we go, guys. Chris Duncan-Smith, Andy Baker, Xion Gym, Andover. Make sure if you're heading over, if you're ever in the area, definitely hit these guys up because you'll get some awesome training. The training's brilliant. I mean, anywhere that can put up with Andy Baker's a fucking brilliant place. You know what I mean? So, but you'll get some awesome training. There's a lot of really, really nice people down there. So definitely make sure you hit them up. As Chris says, there's different levels. Do you know what I mean? So they've got various different levels. So there's some in there for everybody, male, female, different weights and all that kind of stuff as well. Hit them up on the usual social medias as well. Obviously, you're on Instagram and Facebook as well. Xion.
So all my social media is run by the wife.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And
I wish mine was run by the wife. Do you know what I mean? I wish I could. Because that should be taken off Facebook sometime.
You're going to get a tooth flung at you in a minute, by the way.
But I should be banned off Facebook. Do you know what I mean? I shouldn't be allowed on it at all. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, make sure if you're in the area, down that neck of the woods, make sure you do hit these guys up and definitely get some training. Andy's all over fucking social medias all the time, man. Do you know what I mean? So Andy's definitely approachable. Definitely hit him up. If you want to have a conversation with Chris, you need to run it by the wife first of all. So she filters out all the shite away from the things that he wants to talk about. So but yeah, definitely hit these guys up as in really, really awesome people. So well, listen, I appreciate your time, guys. Thank you very much for
having us on.
Chatting shit, man. It's been awesome. Listen, the Celtic match didn't go fucking very well. Do you know what I mean? So I'm glad I missed it. I'm glad I didn't fucking watch it.
I've got it on the telly there, and I'm just thinking to myself when it came up there, thank fuck I'm not watching it, by the way. Celtic 7-1 against Scotland.
Yeah, that would have depressed me, man. That would have depressed me, do you know what I mean? So
that was this was 2 hours worth it, that wasn't it? You know what I mean?
But no,
is that what it is? Fucking hell, it is, yeah, 2 hours. That's gone quick. It's gone quick.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I appreciate your time. Absolutely appreciate it. And yeah, listen, I'll be down. I will be down. As I said, I'm dealing with some shit that I'm doing at the moment. So
pack to stay. You won't want to go back.
Well, that's it. Do you know what? My wife would be fucking happy. My wife would be like, "You're not coming back? That's fine. Just stay there. I'll UPS your stuff."
So Andover and surrounding villages is like the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah. I've done more great escape attempts from here. And I mean, I've been everywhere, and I just end up back. Like, I used to hate it like that. Why do I keep getting? Why am I back here again?
That's true.
Like that. Do you know why I'm back here? Because it is Sleepy Hollow. There's no problems here. There's no problems here.
No, that's no.
Yeah, it is.
My wife, honestly, if I never came back, she wouldn't even notice. She wouldn't even send out a search party. She'd be like, Oh, he's not here. I wonder where he is. I'll be like, that one, I'm just going out for a pint of milk. I'll be back soon.
He's probably just be going, this place is tidier than normal. What's going on?
No, it's quieter than normal, mate. It's quieter than normal. So, nah, she would miss me too much. She would miss me too much. Or I think she would anyway. So, but no, listen, guys, I appreciate it. I will get down. I will make a point of getting down. But yeah, listen, enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too, mate.
And yeah, we'll catch up soon, brother. All right.
Cheers, everybody.
Thank you.